Welcome to another episode of Going Over. You know it. Let me hear everybody in podcast land say it along with me. The fans are paying in attendance. They're here in droves. It is me. It is I, your neighborhood friendly coach, your neighborhood friendly instructor, your neighborhood friendly trainer, your neighborhood friendly promoter, Zack, the 43-year-old still professional wrestler, prime time Reeb, and I'm joined alongside my podcast partner as always, all the treachery in all 7 feet of him, the wrecking bull, Paul Isadora. Welcome. How are you doing today, Paul?
I'm doing good, man. So I was just noticing that we have released 30 episodes of this, and not one time have we said like, follow, subscribe, all those things, man. I feel like we've got 50% of the people that watch the podcast are not subscribers. So if you are watching this, please subscribe. Take 2 seconds, click the subscribe button. Yeah. It might not mean anything for you, but for us, it is the potential to, make a few dimes off of this, so
Monetize.
try to monetize this bad boy,
I'm gonna cut a promo on you. I'm gonna cut a promo on the fans right now, because tonight we challenge you. We challenge you to a matchup. I can hear my heater blowing in the background, and I am the monetizer. We need subscribers. We need so many hours. And once we get that, and the little sponsor ad, and the StreamYard duck that you can flap around with, that's when we're going to get big here, ladies and gentlemen. So what's on the agenda today, Paul? We've had some heated, not arguments, but some passionate conversations lately. Go ahead and hook me up with something here, man. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to.
I think after my Saturday morning here, going to the school and being very disappointed with the attendance. We were talking.
Attendance?
It was let's see if I can see through the attendance. It's not hard on my side because it did not make me excited, but yeah, a big goose egg, as they call it in some places. But yeah, man, we had talked about the value of training, right? And just how when we were going through the process of getting trained, there was just this thirst and passion, desire, whatever, I don't know, whatever words you want to put onto it, but we wanted to do this, right? We wanted to become pro wrestlers. We wanted to get into the pro wrestling business, the industry. We wanted to do it all, right? So it was like there was nothing we wouldn't do to try to get to that stage where we were able to compete in the ring and go showcase what we were doing. I've talked about all types of situations, the going to training every day that I was off, and then trying to go to training during my lunch hour as well, just to get extra repetitions. I talked about a story, and I don't even know if it was on one of the episodes that has actually aired, or if it was something that when we were just talking about doing this and saying, oh, we should do a trial run. But there was a time, I just remember a carload of us, we were trying to go to Rob Wild's show in Sacramento or something like that. And we were doing everything possible. We went 80, we got stopped and turned around. Then we're like, well, we're going to try to go 50. So we went 50, and then we got stopped and turned around, So it's just like we were doing everything possible to try to get to this wrestling show, probably a shitty show at that, but it was that passion and desire that we had, that we were going to try to make every single booking and get in the ring as much as we could against people that we didn't live in the same town as, that we weren't just always training with. So I'm getting frustrated, I think, is to kind of put it lightly. We talked about how much value there is to professional wrestling training. And I think about every time I see that somebody's putting on a seminar, and I feel like the bottom of the barrel is always $20. Come to this seminar, it's going to cost you $20 per person, and that goes to the person that's doing the training. So, you get 10 people there. This person pockets an extra $200. And I think that's kind of like what I feel like the value is, $25 a session per person, right? That's what I think the value of training is. So if you're thinking about my scenario where you potentially could come 4 days a week, that's $100 a week that you should be paying for training, or $400 a month, right? So when you have schools that are offering 100, 125, 150 a month, $200 a month, I feel like that is like such a deal. But at the same time, people aren't taking advantage of it. You have people that I feel like they're getting a great deal on training, but they're definitely not taking advantage of it. So you have, my situation starting with 15 students, and just you don't. I've never had 15 students there at once, for sure. And then it's just, then you wonder, like, what is going on? Like, do these people really want to do this? I don't feel like I should have to go out there and hound them like, hey, where are you at? I shouldn't have to talk someone into it or twist their arm to be a pro wrestler.
Absolutely not. We talked about this today. So here's two percentages. Here's two percentage facts, and they're the same fact. And you can look at it as your glass half full or your glass half empty. It's 0% and 100%. And what I mean by that is, if they know the day, they know the training session, the times and days. If you have to call somebody, 0% in my 25 plus years, 0% of aspiring pro wrestlers that I've had to call or ask where they've been or why they're not showing up to class, 0% of those guys have failed and are not around to this day. Also, with the glass half full, 100% of those guys don't make it. So 0% of the people that I've called don't make it, but also, and another percentage fact completely on the opposite end of each other, 100% don't either. It's the same thing. It's just how you look at the percentages. Do you want to look at it as 0 or 100? Either way, they mean the exact same thing. Also, they absolutely do not give a shit, because we broke this down for yours and mine, not talking about what the cost is or the amount of classes we have, but we did the math, and it came out to $9.30 per session. Okay, well, if the general consensus is $20 for a bottom of the barrel or the best deal possible on a seminar, then we should be charging $20 to $25 a session, which would double or triple the cost that we're charging these guys. So think about that, $9.30. That's cheaper than a meal going through fucking McDonald's or Burger King or Taco Bell. That's actually cheaper than that. So if you run 16 classes, I run 8 classes, whatever the amount of classes are, I'm pretty sure that the average human being buys more than 15 bagged meals from a fast food restaurant in 1 month. So these are guys that you were saying want to be professional wrestlers. And another thing that bothers me is we are so willing. And some of us aren't qualified, some of us aren't prepared to do it, but we are so willing to give away this magic trick. We are so willing to give away this beautiful art form, this theater, this thing that has tore up my knees, that has shattered my tailbone, that has given me a 10 diagnosed concussions, that has I've been broke. I've written hot checks over the years at a young age. You get in the vehicle early in the morning when you don't want to, and you load up a trailer and you drag it all the way to the place to these places. I probably paid more money technically for my knowledge and my training than anybody else. And there's no price tag you can put on that. There's no price tag on how much your training costs. And I completely understand now why Roland Alexander, we talked about it, went through a loan agent to get his money, and the loan agency can deal with the student, but he said $5,500. You got to pay to play, right? You got to pay to play. And here's the thing, we're giving this thing that we love and have dedicated our lives so much. Man, I'm so passionate when I talk about it because we've dedicated our lives to learning this craft and still learning it, still passionate about it, well past our years of ever even thinking about Triple H calling us up and being like, would you like a NXT contract, Big Paul and Mr. Prime Time? And we're just over here giving it away for less than $10. And there's other places that are giving it away for cheaper. So they're giving it away for way less than $10. And it's like, is that the value of this? Cody Rhodes, would you like to sell your soul? And John Cena says, I'll sell my soul. Yeah, well, those guys can't even take a breath of air without getting about $15,000 to $20,000 direct deposited into their bank accounts. We are not. We are giving this product away for free, and people are taking advantage of this product that is being given to them at virtually no cost at all. And that, I'm glad you're disappointed. I'm glad you're pissed off because it's just disrespectful. Because if you I told you, if you switched it around the other way, you'd be the asshole. If I decided, hey, you know what? I'm just not going to show up at a scheduled class as the guy with the key running the facility. I'm just not going to show up today. Then everybody goes, that's not good business. You didn't show up when you were supposed to have the building over. But then you could go over there and waste your time and your efforts and show up, and now it doesn't matter. Oh, we couldn't make it. Well, if you can't fucking make it, be respectful enough to waste 10 seconds out of your life to give us a text message, or waste 40 seconds out of your life to call us and say, hey, sorry, man, not going to make it today. That's all we need. So let me know. How do you really feel? How do you really
Yeah, I
feel?
mean, yeah, it's definitely, it pisses you off to think about that. You know, you just used the Roland Alexander example, and I was just trying to quickly calculate, you know, $250 a month essentially is what that training came out to. You know, so it's like, and we're charging a fraction of that, and maybe, you know, there's not a beyond the mats, you know, video behind the training school that you're at, but regardless, the information that you and I are giving out is the same that we learned from Roland Alexander and the guys that trained there. You know, I just remember a time working for Pro Wrestling Iron and Mike Modest coming up to me and saying, I should tell you to pay me a shitload of money, and I'll train you, but I think you're pretty good, you know. So, I mean, that's the mindset of the way things used to be, you know, and maybe that's what we need to get back to, you know, where it's like, hey, you know, I'm not going to give you shit for free. I'm not going to critique your match. You know, you can ask me to watch your match, and I'm going to give you a generic, yeah, look pretty good out there, man. You know, and that's it, right? You're not going to go into depth and give them a bunch of a whole bunch of knowledge. You're not going to critique it and break it down and say, hey, this is what you could do better, or here's a psychology that I think was lacking, or any of that stuff. You talk about us giving that away for free, and that's exactly what it is. It's, you ask a veteran about what your match was like, and most of us want to sit down and tell you. We want to lay it out for you. We want to be like, hey, your strike sucked or whatever. Who was the baby face? Who was the heel? Where was the cutoff? Where was the heat? Where were all these aspects of the things that you are supposed to be learning at the wrestling school? But unfortunately, it's very much the I don't know, for lack of a better term, just the you have no, I don't know. There's nothing that keeps people intrigued or dedicated to what they're doing, and it's very much like let's get these guys through and get them out immediately, right? Because we've talked about it before. If you're not at some sort of higher level pace wise teaching guys what they're supposed to be doing, there's another school, not too far away that's gonna crank them out. You're gonna get exactly what you're looking for regardless, right? If you're looking for the training school that is going to go slow and teach you every single aspect, but it's going to take you a year, 18 months, 2 years to get to the point where you can have a good wrestling match, you're going to find that. And if you've got the patience to get through that, that's going to work for you, and you're going to be a really good pro wrestler. But on the other hand, you can also find the 3-month school, right? That's just going to show you everything in super fast order, and they're not going to make sure that things are very clean and look good. They're just going to go, all right, yeah, your lockup looks good enough. All right, your headlock looks good enough. All right, here's how you do a pile driver, right? And all right, you're out the door. Next class comes in. That type of mentality where even if you're coming, like we talked about, the 1 or 2 times a week or a couple times a month, you're still going to be on that same track. And 3 months or 6 months later, you're going to be having a wrestling match, regardless if you're actually ready or not, because now it's just, you don't have a lot of, you're just not very focused, right? It's what have you done for me lately? We just want to see it, right? It has to happen right now. We have to have instant gratification. So unfortunately, we want to do it one way, and there's a ton of schools out there that are going to do it the opposite way. And, I experienced that firsthand here in Reno. You're trying to get people to train and you want them to get trained at a high level, but unfortunately, there is the, hey, well, if you can sell 20 tickets, then you can be on the wrestling show. It doesn't matter. You've only been trained for 6 weeks. If you can sell tickets, you can be on the show, right? Because realistically, that's just, I don't give a shit about the product, right? I just want the money, and I'm going to do this for as long as I can until I can't afford to do it anymore, and then I'm going to go out of business. So,
I mean, the product is pretty watered down. There's one thing that I look at when I'm running a company is, okay, production. Okay, I need production. I need those guys. I'm looking for graphics. I need a graphic guy. I need match graphics. I need a poster guy. I had my graphic guy, and my belt maker. Okay, well, I got now West Coast is just my belt maker. He makes great belts. He makes great posters. But now I have my own in-house graphic guy, and he's making graphics for so many other people. So now he's my belt guy. He's a great belt guy. Samantha Packer. I have my own seamstress, my own gear lady. I send a lot of other guys to Samantha Packer. I want Samantha Packer to, check her out. Samantha Packer. I want her to make a living at this thing, but also that's my seamstress. This is my graphic guy. This is my production guy. This is my photographer. Oh, what else do I need? I need these certain aspects of professional wrestling so that I can offer this thing as a group to everybody coming in. I don't just want this, I want everything. I want everything on my team. I want commentators. I want ring announcers. I want my own personal, security guys. The problem is, uh, you're only going to learn what that person knows at your training school. You know what I mean? If someone is well versed in the basics and fundamentals, cool. Keep them there. Keep them working on these different things. Have them wrestle on the mat. Keep them focused on these basics. Run the ropes, hit the corners, how to go through the ropes, over the top rope, front, backwards, all that stuff. Keep them focused on this stuff, because once they do all this stuff well, once they learn how to bump in, as they extend to a point and their bumps are good, show them how to bump and feed so they can get the bump and feed down. As they get closer to being ready to wrestle, show them a couple things. But what that person's going to do is that person's going to get so good at these basics and fundamentals that by the time they are ready to wrestle, they're not going to have a huge arsenal of stuff. They're going to start to build that out there on the road. They're going to figure this stuff out. Like, you want to do a moonsault, man? Go take a gym class. Go jump on a fucking trampoline. I did a lot of moonsaults, did different variations of them, but I can't teach you how to do a moonsault. What am I going to do? Fucking jump up, turn back. I can't teach you how to do that. I can pull out a crash pad. Essentially, you're going to have the you either can do it or you can't, or you practice to do it or you can't. It's not something that I can show you how to bump. I can show you how to roll. I can show you how to take this move. I can show you how to take this basic thing, but they all tie into each other. Those progression drills are a fucking warm-up. You know what I mean? That's like guys shooting. That's like guys doing layups and shooting shots in basketball before the game. That's like sitting in the batting cage and hitting them, or the quarterback before the game starts playing catch with the other quarterback. You know what I mean? That's just stuff that you do to warm up. So the progression drills, if you've been around a long time and you can't forward roll, diving forward roll, snap bump, if you can't do these things, and a year has gone by and it's becoming this yay, he almost got it. It's like that's a warm-up, dude. You're stretching out and you're warming up. That's what you're doing. There's nothing impressive about you doing. Now, what's impressive is if you get it in your first couple tries and move on. If I'm still sitting here showing you how to do a handspring bump or a fucking Beal bump 6 months down the road, Jesus, man, you just wasted a lot of my time. So we're so hyper focused, and you said it earlier, we're so hyper focused on like, okay, man, this guy, it's a decent little lock up there. Oh, it's a nice headlock. Okay, he's getting this. All right, let's start getting him off the ropes. Okay, now let's show him some moves. Let's get him show ready with this amazing match to run out there and do this. And it's like, just teach this guy the basics of professional wrestling. And if you don't know, if this guy's basics and fundamentals suck, and this isn't just pinpointing, if you think we're talking about you, maybe we are. And this is across the globe. This isn't NorCal related on this one. It's just if a guy comes out of a training school, no matter how long he's been there, and his basics and fundamentals are shit, it's because two things. Either A, the coach doesn't give a shit, the trainer doesn't give a shit, or B, he doesn't have the knowledge, the qualified instruction to keep you going on your basics and fundamentals to get you where you need to go. And that's just what it comes down to, man. It's no knock on anybody. It's just like, this guy's lockup should be tight. If this guy's wall, I've had so many people, when I go other places, I get in the ring and everyone's all juiced and excited. Like, what's Zack going to show us today? And I go, all right, let me see you waltz around and tie up. Your guys, when I was there that last time, and they go, waltz? Waltz? What do you mean waltz? You don't know how to fucking walk around is what I mean. Oh, yeah, walk around. Well, you got to know the terminology. You got to know what an up and over is. You got to know what a tip up is. You got to know what a reverse arm drag is, an inverse drop toe hold, a double wrist lock takeover. You got to know what the names of these basic wrestling holds are. It's like so many times I get people going, I got caught with a claymore. And I'm like, a claymore? Yeah, I caught him with a claymore kick. I'm like, oh, yeah. Drew McIntyre. Hit him with the Stone Cold Stunner. And it's like, before the Stone Cold Stunner, it was the fucking whippersnapper by Mikey Whipwreck. You know what I mean? He did it from the southpaw side over here. But yeah, these guys are calling these big moves by the names of the moves on television. No, all these things have actual names. There's a lineage. There's a you can backtrack these things to like, oh, what's the rock bottom? It's called the Uranagi. You know what I mean? But everyone refers to it as the rock bottom. And then you get the guys that call it the Uranagi. I'm going to put my knee in your gut. Take a kitchen sink. And then you get guys that don't know it's called a kitchen sink. And then you get these guys that almost rip your crotch out because they don't know that you're just going to put your knee up and they're going to run into it and come to a stop and take a heel bump over your leg. So you got to tell them, all right, I'm going to shoot. You're going to fight off or you're going to call off the rope. I'm going to lift my little leg up like this. Don't put your hands under it. Put your hands over it and just take a heel bump over my knee. Okay. Yeah, just flip over your knee. Yeah. Because if you don't, you're going to rip my groin. You're going to tear my groin. And they don't get it. They don't get it because they're not being instructed. Like I have so many people. My coach, I always say this. My coach told someone the other day, like, I'm pretty sure when all you guys are in the ring with Zack, he does a lot of talking to you, right? He's, hey, loosen up. What the fuck you doing, dumbass? Hey. All right, slow down, calm down, lighten up. He's talking to you the whole time, right? And they're like, yeah, he's talking to us the whole time. Well, why the fuck aren't you in there talking? Isn't that crazy to think that someone would go into a wrestling match and not try to communicate with the person they're wrestling? People who fight in UFC are talking to each other, taunting each other, having words with each other, and they're like, I'm so good. I'm going to get in the ring with this guy and we are going to focus on our match because we're 100% focused and we're not going to say a word to each other. No, it's got to be a lock up with him. Start talking to him in the lockup. Hey, calm down, kid. Big night tonight. We already got him. We don't got to do too much. Back me up into this corner. Hey, stay there. All right. I'm going to duck under this. Okay. And block it. It's like, just talk to him. Have a conversation. Nobody can hear you. You're not mic'd, you know? And that's the thing when you talk about that is, and I want you to elaborate a little more because we'll kind of coast on from there. We're already fucking halfway through this program anyways. But that's the big key to this training is back in the day, there wasn't as many places to train. You know, new places were starting to pop up and form when I came around. We popped up. SPW popped up. There was a couple other pop-ups, you know, and then now there's so many places to go, and so many people want to say they're coaches. You know, it's like if you're not really going to be dedicated to be a coach, then just be the coach at the show if you want. You know what I mean? But I mean, we were doing the match reviews on here. And I started looking at the match reviews and I was thinking, I'm like, man, we had to scratch and claw to get somebody to send us a match review. And we're just giving these match reviews out and we're giving this away for free. These aren't our students. These guys aren't paying us any money. We're giving this an hour-long critique for a 9-minute match and just breaking this stuff down. And we're giving it away for free, just like we're giving that training away for free. So I say on the other end, there's got to be a time where we go, hey, man, maybe you don't have 15 students. Maybe you only have 4, but maybe those 4 students you get, you make them pay you $4,000 or $5,000. And, you know, you pay somebody $4,000 or $5,000, they're going to fucking show up.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's you talk about talking in the ring, and I don't know how many conversations I've had during training while we're going over whatever. Hey, let's do this series or whatever. and going, hey guys, what's going to happen when you're in a match is you might call some sort of series like that and the guy might forget it. So if you're not talking to him the whole way through, like, it's probably going to go south. So get into the habit of, it doesn't matter what we're doing, what series we're doing, because, and I just talked to the guys about this on Wednesday, was like, I could tell you to, like, we were doing headlock takeover, get up, reverse, take the head, headlock takeover, get up. I said, you could take that 40-second, sequence and you can make that into an entire match because you could add little stuff in there, right? You don't have to just take the head, and you could go somewhere else, some other chain wrestling before you get to a headlock. It's like, so I'm like, you have to understand that there's got to be conversations going in there, and there has to be ad lib. You have to be able to just kind of, throw something in there. You guys are chain wrestling. It needs to look like that you guys are in a struggle. So gosh, man, it's funny that you said the talking to each other the whole match, because it's like, that's exactly what it should be, because, you and I have both said the exact same thing. Yeah, I'm not going to go out there with Kenny K or any of these guys that want to put together, choreograph a 15 or 20-minute match. Like, sorry, man, that's not me. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna feel it, and we're gonna call stuff in the ring, and we might have a couple of, hey, I think this might be a good sequence for us, or hey, what about this? But it's not going to be like we hear a lot of things in the back where it's like, are you guys choreographing the chain wrestling that you guys are going to do? And are you guys choreographing every single spot? Like, it just blows my mind about that stuff. But yeah, then
nerves. It's nerves, and it comes down to that right there. If you
right.
don't if you don't have an ear for the audience yet, then you're gonna freak out because you're like, oh man, I don't know what to do. You're right. You don't know what to do. That's okay, because nobody's ever got into a spot that they've never been in and been able to just magically, like, oh, I'm the best. If you've never been in the main event and you get to the main event, you have to be in the main event so you can get the experience to become a main eventer. You know what I mean? Like, if I've never been in a main event and someone's like, man, I don't know if we should throw this guy in the main event yet. I don't think he's ready. Well, when is he ever going to be ready?
Right.
Fucking fuck it. Throw him out there. Throw him out there.
Absolutely.
He can't learn until he gets out there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that's like, and you talked about the match critiques, and it just frustrates me, probably infuriates me would be a little bit better, that we are giving away free advice. We are giving away free match critiques, and there is not guys lined up to go, hey, can you give me free advice that I'm not paying you to train me or anything like that? But you know how it is, man. It's crazy that that's what it is. Like, you think about that stuff for garage sales and stuff like that. When you're giving something away for free, it's the perception is that it's because it doesn't have any value. So, so we could almost go the opposite. It was like, hey, we can, we're doing match critiques, just $20 a match. We'll critique it for you. That way it's like, there's value to it, right? Or the perception that there's more value to that, rather than, hey, we're doing you a favor and send us a match and we'll critique it for you. So it's just, I don't know, it's super backwards that's how it is. But I almost guarantee that that's what it would be like if you say, hey, we're doing match critiques for $20. You'd have people lined up. I want to get my match critiqued.
Well, Ugly talks about it. He's on the same boat. I hear him talk on his blog and about it all the time. And he's just like, don't ask me to fucking watch your match if you ain't gonna listen to it. You don't just do it because you think that it's cool and you should do it to do it, but you don't give a fuck. That's it. It's the same thing, you know. But shit, I'll walk in the locker room and just overwhelm somebody. They didn't even ask me to watch their match. I'll just be like, and I'll just give it to them. Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? Why are you doing this? And they're looking at me like, fuck, that was a lot to take in, man. But I've had people ask me on the same card I've been on, like, hey, did you watch my match? And I immediately flipped it back around on them and go, well, did you watch mine? And they were like, well, no. Oh, why didn't you watch mine? Why the fuck didn't you watch my match?
Because they're choreographing their match. That's why.
I should.
That's exactly why.
You talked about Kenny K, and Kenny's an incredible in the ring. And I worked Kenny back. Oh God, it was a while back, but it was a WCWF show at the Isadora Fairgrounds. And Kenny had a lot he wanted to do. And I told Kenny, I said, hey, if the crowd is there I'll remember these sequences. I'll give you a couple sequence spots, whatever you want to do. And I'll remember those two variations. And if the crowd is there and that spot fits in, we'll run that sequence. So I had to break his down into a sequence because even though Kenny's saying a lot of this stuff with the chaining and all this other shit, I know he can do this without telling me what he's doing. We can talk out there. So like he might be wrestling somebody who doesn't, so he's getting you. It's like when Rick used to wrestle guys, he would go over a lot of the stuff and he'd walk them around the ring in basically a 4-corner drill, just in one direction, saying, hey, here I am, here's my hand, fucking, then I tell you what to do. But when he gets in there with me, he doesn't have to tell me all that other details. Scotty Aboot one time hit me with some gold. He said, if I heard him tell a guy, if we choreograph this, I might lose my place on the script. But if we don't choreograph this, I will never lose my place on this script. Because what is a botch? A botch is not a miscommunication. Because if you're ready and the communication is right and you're doing that communication out there, there's no such thing as a botch. The botch is when you're fucking like start to finish, you got this planned out matchup that you in the locker room with your partner have drummed up. You have cooked it up and you're just like, ooh, this is a badass match. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. Not even in your own mind. Maybe you run it. Maybe it is a badass match. But maybe that's not what the fucking crowd wants to see that night. And the crowd ain't reacting to the moments of your badass match. Then your badass match doesn't become a badass match. It becomes a dog shit match. Excuse me, just that simple. Just that simple. A dog has shit all over the ring, man. And I'm serious. It's that simple. Like I've had some matches, but then there's sometimes you can put it together. Because I remember Vince DeMarco saying, and I heard it recently when he said it. He says you have to learn how to work before you can learn to choreograph. Because if you can work, then you can start to get an ear for the audience, and you can, oh fuck, I heard this guy do that and do that. Okay, cool. Now we're cooking. We are going to plan some stuff out, but we're planning it out, getting the reaction from the audience. It's when I go out there early, a lot of times I do chops and I go back and forth with my guy a little bit because I want to hear, if I'm in match one, I want to hear if the crowd's doing the boo yay shit. I want to hear if a knife edge chop hits, if they're doing the Ric Flair woo. Because then I can come back to the locker room and tell these younger guys, hey, man, if you guys exchange back and forth, they're going to boo ya. If you chop them, they're going to Ric Flair woo ya. I took a hard turnbuckle out there. They popped, they busted for that. So here's some easy things for you guys to do. But yeah, I mean, just the match graphic thing. The match review thing is like, I mean, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. They got so much going on, and they got so many different shows they're banging around to. There's no I'm worried about getting myself over. I want to get over. I want my opponent to get over. They're not trying to get each other over. They're just trying to do something that they think is cool that they can throw up on a highlight. And that's no diss on anybody, but a lot of the stuff I see online is highlights. And then when I watch a full match, if we were really going to do match reviews, we'd log up about fucking 10 of hawk turfers, you know what I mean? We go over there and we'd plug about 10 of those things in, and we'd start watching it. And the real match review would be us stopping the match, and that would be the end of it, right when we saw something that we didn't like. And then we'd talk about that, and we would say nothing else along the way. And the real secret would be, oh, 8-minute match. Can you get us to watch an 8-minute match without us stopping to critique something? And if you can, then now you might be onto something.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think you talked about the ability to go out there and kind of be the guinea pig and see what the crowd is reacting to. And I don't know how many times I've been at a show where someone comes back after working the first match and says, "Hey, easy crowd out there. We worked up to a body slam and they pop for it," right? But the rest of the people in the back, they don't understand. Like, that means, hey, easy night. That means, you know, just easy stuff, basic stuff. Don't go kill yourself out there, right? You don't have to put on this super spotty match to get the crowd to react. But unfortunately, that's kind of what we're talking about, is that guys don't understand. So it's like, oh, well, I saw this on TV and I want to do all these cool moves. And so that's what we're going to do. Regardless of somebody just told us that it's easy out there, I'm going to still go out there and I'm going to do a bunch of sequences and I'm going to do a bunch of stuff that, that you think is going to get the holy shit chant, or, this is wrestling, or whatever you're looking for, whatever you perceive as being the way that the crowd reacts, that is the positive for you and that gets your adrenaline flowing. And I think that bleeds right into, having stipulation matches as well, just for the, just to say, hey, I was in a cage match, or I did a bull rope match, or whatever the match is that you have in your mind, say, hey, that's the match that I'd really love to have someday, right? So, and I think that that's kind of what it is. It's you start seeing stuff maybe on TV, or you have this perception in your mind that to have a good match, you have to have all these, over the top elements to your match, rather than just going out there and, like you said, listening to the crowd, finding out what sequences work, and listening to the matches before you and see, like, what were they reacting to. If they were reacting to chops, like, okay, cool, so I know I can get a reaction out of that. Are they reacting to, like, I always think about myself, like, if I work up to somebody finally bumping me one time, like, that's the whole climax of the match. That's what we're working towards, right? There's effort to do that somewhere throughout the match that fails, and then finally the person gets it, and then it's like, okay, there's the big pop we were looking for. And that's what we're trying to accomplish throughout a wrestling match, not just put all the high spots in there.
Do you think I'm gonna armbar you? Do you think I'm not gonna do anything like that to you, man. I'm gonna try to stay away from you, and I'm gonna fight. And if I get one good moment where I finally knock you off your feet, if you're bumping for me as a big guy, you're gonna sell for me at that moment. And you're gonna sell big for me. And now I gotta get off, bro. I gotta get off on you, because now I gotta unload the fucking highlight reel, man. You know what I mean? It's highlight time. Everything I got in the bag, I'm throwing at you right there, because that is my moment. You talk about that stipulation match, and back in the day, the ladder match became a triangle ladder match with the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys. The reason there was chairs is because Edge and Christian were using chairs as their gimmick. The reason there was tables was because the Dudleys were get the tables. That was their gimmick brought over from ECW. Vince, so smart. He used ECW's the Dudleys didn't create the tables in ECW, but he brought a couple guys over from ECW that actually made it. He tried to do it with Public Enemy back in the day. The ladder match. What the fuck is the point of that stipulation match? Why always go back to, Brett and Sean, and they did it in Calgary Wrestling with Stu Hart. But the ladder match, I mean, here's just a quick good example. Shawn Michaels, the heel, he gets hurt. He's the Intercontinental Champion. He's got to give up he doesn't give up his belt, but he basically he's not the champ. So now a 20-man battle royal happens on Monday Night Raw. It comes down to Rick Martel and Razor Ramon. They're the final two. Next week we'll see you on Raw. Interim championship. It's basically an interim championship. Razor wins the belt. He's the big babyface champion. Shawn comes back from injury and promos and attacks Razor Ramon, and he's still got his old Intercontinental Championship. So now technically he's got a gripe. Razor is the interim champion. He's never beat him. Razor's got the new Intercontinental belt. Shawn's got the old IC belt because he never gave it up, and he still has it. He's the heel. Now these two guys, because he's never beat him, okay, we have to settle this. We have to hang this thing above. And there could be so many, but you're hanging something above to unify something. You're hanging something above that is a contract or something that's beneficial or something you can pull down to fucking use on your opponent that's been going on in this gimmick for a long time. That's what the ladder match is for. The ladder match is not for the tables. It's not to set up an erector set of Legos everywhere to do all these. It's two guys trying to wear their opponent around. Like if you go early on in a match and slide out and try to grab the fucking ladder, and I'm still fresh, you're a dumbass. Because you're going to be coming back with that ladder, and I'm going to be like, oh man, I'm right here. I'm going to stop you from using this thing. Now you're going to be in trouble. I mean, we just talk about that stuff so many times. We're gonna do one next. That's what we're doing on stipulations. Why is this stipulation match happening? I know why these stipulation matches are happening nowadays, but I don't know why the fucking stipulation match is happening nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You want to do a TLC match. You want to do a last man standing match. Hey, I got a steel cage sitting in my storage unit. Let's pull this son of a bitch out and have a steel cage match and have the guys doing backflips and stuff off the steel cage just for shits and giggles. Not because a rivalry has gotten so big that these two guys have to fight it out. So it just drives me crazy with these stip matches. People are like, we'll do a 1-2, we'll do a trilogy, and we'll end it in this stipulation match. Well, why? Don't be afraid to ask the promoter, like, why? I'm a cosplay comic book character. Oh, and I'm a dentist. Well, why are we having a Texas bull rope match then? The fuck is the point of that? Why is there a fucking Texas bull rope with the bell lying around the ringside area? It's like, why? You just got to ask yourself sometimes why. And if you ask yourself why, and you don't have a logical answer to your own question, you know what I mean? Why did I stick my dick on the concrete and smash it with a hammer? And you go, oh, well, I don't know. I don't know why. Why would you do that? Yeah, there's no reason why you would do that. It's not going to make it any bigger. And if it does make it bigger, you're not going to be able to use it because it's hurting now. So there's no logical reason to smash your dick with the hammer. So guess what? If somebody comes up to you and goes, hey, man, I think you should smash the shit out of your dick with a hammer, I'm going to go, no, I'm not going to smash my dick with a hammer because that's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Are you picking up what I'm throwing down right there? It's
Absolutely.
about as easy as we can talk right there.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So I think what it comes down to is you've seen this type of match somewhere in your life, and you fantasize about wanting to have that match, right? So I can I can definitely, you have the guys that are the Hardy Boys fans, or guys that do high risk stuff like that, and you go, well, when I become a pro wrestler, that's what I'm gonna do, right? Or I don't know, like I feel like the hardcore stuff, a lot of times came from guys that couldn't work, and then they would go to that as a, this is how I'm gonna get attention. Here's how I'm gonna get people to know who I am, right? And then you see some of those death match style matches having a story involved, and it just fucking blows your mind, because it's like, okay, we talked about in the past about how you could go into something like that, some sort of stipulation, and you could just tease using all of these weapons and never actually use them. It's like, yeah, hey, yeah, promoter, no problem, I can do a fill in the blank match, no problem, I can take care of that. And you just go out there and do what people do so infrequently, and that's go out there and set up a table, tease it like you're going to use it, and then just go completely away from it and do something completely different, and then a chair gets introduced, and you set it up and you tease it, and then you go away from it and you don't use it. Like the biggest example, and I don't even remember who was in the match, I just remember the spot because it caught me completely off guard, which was somebody set up a table going like away from the ring post, like straight away from the ring post, rather than one direction. And I was like, how the fuck would you use that table sticking straight out from the ring like that? There's no possible way. But they set it up, they go away, they're doing some other stuff. Then a guy goes up like he's gonna hit a moonsault, and the guy just shoved him in the ass, and the guy took a just a heel bump and went through that table long ways. So I was like, okay, you fucking got me, because I completely forgot that table was even in the mix. And then just out of nowhere, it gets used. It wasn't like you see so often now. You spill the tax in the ring, and then you pick a guy up and you slam him on top of it, right? As if the guy doesn't see you doing that, and is trying to avoid it at all costs, because having tax stuck into your body does not feel good. Like you
I
would not
actually
just,
know.
right. Exactly. See,
I don't
that's
know.
yeah, obviously you're smarter than a lot of other of us, I guess.
I'm the biggest defender. I'm a Hardy Boy fan. I'm an Edge and Christian, big time Christian fan, Dudley Boy fan. I did all this stupid shit. When we first started, we did the TLC matches. We did all this dumb shit. So like I'm not saying that that anybody's out there doing anything that I haven't done. I'm just trying to advise them that there is a safer, more logical, and make sense way of why you're doing this, and you can protect your body because you're not making a lot of money and you got to go to work or you got to go to school. So don't do what I did, don't do what the people before you did. Listen to us, because we're not telling you because I've already made these stupid fucking mistakes and I've already gotten hurt because of them for no money. So now I'm seeing people do it and I go, hey, don't do that. You don't have to do that. It's not worth it, because you know what? You want me to exploit you? I will exploit the shit out of you. You want to go down to the local fucking Home Depot or Lowe's and get a pillow sack full of fucking a 10,000 thumbtacks and pour them in my ring and fucking land on them? Go for it, pal. Uh, if that's what you want to do, you want me to get a table lid on fire and smash you through it? Feel free. But I don't know what thumbtacks feel like because, sorry, I have never felt that I needed to land in them. I never felt I've needed to really get cut by barbed wire or glass tubes or whatever, the fluorescent light tubes. And ladies and gentlemen, 5 minutes remain in this podcast. 5 minutes remain in this podcast. I've just never had the feeling to do that. I wrestled Chris Masters, right? The masterpiece. And I'm not even going to get into what I thought of the man. I thought it was great. He had a good time. We only bumped one time a piece, went like 25, all this stuff. But I remember like the night before I wrestled him, I logged up on my TV and I went and watched like when he was 21 and he wrestled Shawn Michaels on Raw. And all I was watching, I wasn't watching the fucking match because he was like 35 at the time I wrestled him. I wasn't watching to see what he did with at 21 with Shawn Michaels on national television. I was watching to see because Michaels is my size and the athleticism. I was seeing how Shawn countered the master lock just to watch some of that stuff. So when I met Masters, it was funny because I go up to him and I meet him and I'm like, hey, man, I watched you and it was at APW. And I said, hey, I watched you and Shawn from Raw. And I want, I got some good stuff from it. And he looks at me and he's like, I wish you would have watched something more recent. You know what I mean? Like, and then when we finally talked and he came up and he was like, because he kept saying, yeah, I like to do it out in the ring. And I said, yeah, cool. You sure? Yeah, see you out there. Hey, I want to call it out there. Is that fine? Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I'll see you out there, man. And he comes up and he goes, well, okay, now I'm a little curious. What did you see in that match when I was 21 with Shawn Michaels on Monday Night Raw? And I said, I said, I probably should. You were quick in the exchange. I said, I probably, if I had a chance to explain, but I said, I was just watching how he got you in the master lock and he jumped over the top ropes while you had him in it. So it had to be broken. He jumped to the middle rope and tried to jump. I was just watching some of his counters so I could see ways to try to counter and fight out of your master lock tonight, since that's the story we're going to tell. And he was blown away. He was blown away that a guy had actually not watched something to be like, I'm going to super kick you and I'm going to frog splash you. And we're going to do all. No, I wasn't worried about that. I was just like, oh, who's the best guy that Masters could work that works like me that I can pick up some stuff from to wrestle this guy? Because I wasn't studying anything with Chris Masters. I didn't give a fuck about none of his other moves. I gave a fuck about his finish. It's just submission hold. So I have some cool ways I can fight out of it before I finally tap out or beat him, whatever it is at the end of this. And I don't think a lot of guys are doing that. And I think I gave that advice a little while back. I said, go put on some good workers and turn the fucking volume up as loud as you can and watch when they rise up. Listen to the audience, and then once you hear the crowd start making noise, watch what that good perform. Watch what Flair and Steamboat do. Watch what the best guys do when the crowd starts making the noise that you are having a hard time in your head. Like, I haven't. When do I do this? When do I do that? Well, Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat are on there. They got 3 fucking hour-long matches on there, and they're showing you how to do it right there in front of you.
Absolutely. It's a lost art, I believe. The calling it in the ring, the listening to the crowd, and then obviously when you see someone who does a really good job of it, then it almost makes them this above average performer, right? Because you're like, oh, they're doing the stuff that we used to just regularly do, and now it looks like they're a superstar because they do that. They're like, oh, they're coming up when the crowd is at its peak. Amazing. How did they do that? It's like, so yeah, definitely a lost art of doing that. And I think we have so many guys that are so concerned with, oh, I got to choreograph every piece of this match and we're going to go out there and we're going to do it, move A, move B, move C, all the way through the alphabet, rather than just going, hey, I've got a couple of things we can do, or like you're talking about, like that's one of my favorite things is, hey, what type of stuff do you do that I could counter, and what type of stuff do you do that you could counter, getting out of a choke slam or whatever. We figure out what the finish is going to be. Let's figure out some creative ways for you to get away. So
beautiful.
Exactly.
There's a lot of young talent out there. It's beautiful to watch when they get it. It's beautiful to watch when you make your time. I'm Zack Primetime Reeb. That's the Wrecking Ball Paul Isadora. We're going over.